My wife's graduating class in 1980 had a graduating class of 28, I believe. Now we're less than half of that.
So how long ago was it when Stafford was thriving? Maybe 5 to 7 businesses in all of these buildings?
We have 40, I believe it's 45, 47% of our families live below the poverty level. Burlington Northern Santa Fe does not sell land. The old high school had a room on the second or third floor, and some kids burnt the building to the ground. They've put in new track, new scoreboard. But right now, I think it's our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes are over 20 kids in each class.
Oh.
So our athletic teams are looking good for the future.
Good morning from one of America's forgotten towns on one of America's forgotten highways, Highway 50, right through the center of our country, and we are in Stafford, Kansas. Starting the day off at Joan's Cafe. Morning, everyone.
You're on camera.
Uh-oh, yeah, the camera is rolling. That's what Don signed up for today. Why don't we introduce everybody?
Steve Moore.
Rebecca's dad.
Don Hardin, Mayor of Stafford.
Steve Brinsing.
All right, and this is the Liar's Table.
There's usually 6 or 8,
Mhm.
right?
So one unique thing about Joan's is if you go on to Google and you look at like customers' pictures, you will see a picture of Steve sitting here along with Josh Austin, and it's like what you really do expect when you walk in.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you will see.
Well, you just missed
Hi,
Josh. He
Sam.
left a few minutes
How are
ago.
you?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. Well, this is Sam
Hello.
from Joan's. The food is great here.
And the service.
And the service.
Very, very complimentary.
Yeah.
Well, good morning from Stafford, Kansas, on one of America's forgotten highways. And this is a town that has kind of become forgotten over time, but it really should not be. I've come to love this town over the years. And today we're going to hang out with the mayor, Don Hardin.
Good morning, and it's a beautiful day here in Kansas. We have just a light breeze blowing, which is barely even kite weather for Kansas. So
Mhm.
a great day. Gonna take a look around town and see what happened since 1885, I believe is when the town was first made into a town.
There's a lot of history, and we're very privileged to have Don show us around, answer questions, and tell us stories from Stafford, Kansas. The first stop on our tour of Stafford was the grain elevator. Now, if you've never been inside one of these things, you will now know what you are missing. It was such an amazing experience, it warranted its own 39-minute video, which can be found on our channel.
Well, that was interesting and educational for me also.
That was great. Thank you so much for opening up that door. So we're gonna proceed with a little tour of Stafford. Don's jumped behind the wheel of our truck, and it's a special day because I even cleaned the windshield.
Nice. Now right here at one time there was a flour mill. And I'm not sure when they tore it down, but I think when they did the parking lot for Dollar General, they found great big chunks of concrete that were just pushed in a hole and buried from that flour mill back in the day.
Big Brother's telling us to put the seatbelt on.
Yeah.
So how long ago was it when Stafford was thriving? And I say thriving, meaning we're coming up on the downtown district, and I would say maybe 5 to 7 businesses in all of these buildings.
Back in late 70s, early 80s, I believe the population was over 1,500 people. And most of these buildings on Main Street had something in them. The Gold Crown Lanes was a thriving little bowling alley with a snack bar and gaming area for kids, pinball, and so on and so forth. That's been closed for now 20 years, sitting empty. This little building, its last use was a little tavern, and it hasn't been open in almost 20 years.
You can't help but see a lot of potential for a town like this. But it's a
I believe
struggle.
that was a car dealership and a shop. At one time, there were 3 car dealerships here. And we'll drive by where I know the other one used to be.
Now we
That
do
was
have...
right there. It's now the senior center. That was probably a pretty upscale hotel. Rooms upstairs and downstairs, and there's a menu on the wall in there. I think an oyster and steak dinner was like 37 cents, something like that, from back in the day when that was open. This bank on the corner, that was a bank. Now it's a museum. The Stafford Mercantile has been several different grocery stores over the years, and now it sits empty and vacant. These buildings all had some sort of a business in them. The Milton Auto Museum is now just that, another museum. This building on the corner right here is the Menace Funeral Home now, but at one time it was a thriving furniture store, and that hasn't even been that long ago.
So this is the North Water Tower that has the vultures sunning on it in the morning.
Turkey vultures will land in the evening and roost there all night long. As many as 40 to 50 you'll see on the rails and on top and wherever else.
So it does not take long to get through town. That is 80th, also known as Main Street.
This is Main Street.
Okay, and we've lost the brick paving of the downtown district, and we're now just on blacktop. And over here was the other grain elevator for Stafford that they were showing us from up top.
They still use it for overflow storage. It's still active and still useful, but doesn't take much.
Let's check out the train station. I have yet to really look at it aside from just seeing it. Now, back in the heyday, there was train service here, right?
Yes. Passenger and freight came by rail for years and years. And we have a spur that went out to this, what is now a hay plant, that they would ship from there also.
And there's been some talk and desires about renovating this old train station and turning it into something good for the community and for the local economy. But it would be a massive project, and
Massive
I know
undertaking to do so. It would have to. We've even talked about picking it up and moving it someplace like closer to Highway 50, but the cost of that is astronomical before we would even start on a renovation. So yes, there's talk of it, but it's going to take
money.
Upwards of $500,000 to tear that apart on the inside and then make it into what would be hopefully a destination, whether it's a steakhouse, whether it's shops, whatever. There's been different ideas kicked around what to do with it if we ever could save it. Right now the railroad owns this little strip of property right here, and the Burlington Northern Santa Fe does not sell land ever, because they won't give it up, because their argument is that at some point in time they may want to put something here. They probably won't. They haven't for the last 60 years, but that's their argument, that they won't actually give us the land. They might give us the building or lease us the building for $1 a decade, but they will still own the land. So that's another cautionary thing, that we don't want to put $500,000 in this and then have the railroad come by and say, oh, we need to build a depot here, or whatever they might do.
I just don't. Do you think it would transport well, being a brick building? I've seen like houses that are made of
They can
wood.
do it, but there would be so much of it dismantled
Yeah.
and taken in pieces that's why just to do that would be upwards of $150,000
Oh, yeah.
just before you ever got started on actually building it into something that would last.
At least. You know, it's like the Linden Bridge that's in Lake Havasu City.
Right.
All the little numbers on it.
Yeah, this would be quite an undertaking. But, you know, if somebody had a lot of money, and it could be a fantastic little site.
Yeah.
You know, we have 3 museums in town. We don't need another museum, even if it's, I mean, I could see having some memorabilia up here that would, you would know it was an old train depot. But
and for the modern Highway 50, it's not right on the highway, so you're not going to
Right.
get the traffic. So
that's why
this location's not very good for a restaurant, brewery, or whatever hip, trendy thing that it
right.
could become.
Right. I mean, it's not impossible, but finding investors to see the potential and invest in that potential, bit of a gamble.
Oh, it is. It's too big of a gamble,
Bit
truthfully.
of a gamble. But you can see the rail used to come right here, right next to this old grain elevator. That track has been basically closed off heading east, but that at one time they loaded grain onto cars right here. And then passengers would come in on this rail here, and this is still a live rail.
Yeah.
In fact, it was only 2 days ago, as I was out on one of the township road out here, that I had to stop and wait for 100 cars.
And people wear many hats in town. So how many hats are you wearing right now, Don?
Well, I'm the mayor, which is not a full-time job here in small town Stafford. I work for a farmer during wheat harvest and fall harvest of milo and soybeans. I am a part-time driver for the school district for activities and school bus routes. I fill in on those occasions. I work for an oil field company part-time, running a dozer, building sites for oil wells, or possibly building a road into an oil well. And I run a township road grader, and I maintain 52 miles of township roads, gravel and sand around the area here. And I'm a retired construction superintendent, and I worked all over the country following my construction job around. But
You're keeping busier in retirement than most people.
I don't let the grass grow too long.
You know, at some point it's a use it or lose it type of scenario.
Yeah.
Now, you touched a little bit on oil. How what's the future of oil in the past and the present?
So there's many wells around our area. I don't believe it's anything like the North Slope in Alaska or
Texas,
even Texas or North Dakota, but it is still viable. There's a lot of people. They're still harvesting oil. They're still harvesting natural gas, and decommissioning some of the older wells as they run dry or don't produce enough to keep them running. There are 4 old wells that haven't run in 4 years, and they thought they seismographically found another just right in between all those oil wells that you can literally see within a quarter mile in 4 directions. So they're drilling a brand new site, hoping to hit more oil right there.
Is that going to be a deep drilling fracking?
That I don't know enough about,
because I'm kind of familiar with it. Can turn some of these old wells into fracking and get deeper and extract the resources.
Obviously, it's so close to the old wells that it will possibly tap into the same reserve. I don't know. There again, I'm not savvy enough to know all the different levels that they drill to and through and so on and so forth.
Now, as for folks living in Stafford, present day 2025, where do people work? What keeps the town alive? Obviously, you see the agriculture, and we just talked about oil.
Agriculture is obviously probably the biggest. And one, what we talked about what the population used to be in the 70s, early 80s. Now, back in those days, in my grandparents' era, a family made a living on a quarter section of ground or a half section. They farmed it, they raised cattle, they raised chickens, pigs, whatever they needed, had a huge garden, did preserves. So if we drive around the county out here, you will find many abandoned old houses sitting back in the trees that haven't had anybody in them forever, because that used to be a family on every section. So the population, the schools, not that Stafford was ever a big school, but my wife's graduating class in 1980 had a graduating class of 28, I believe. Now we're less than half of that.
Oh, wow.
I think there's 13 seniors this year in our high school.
And how do you guys support school sports? We're driving past the fairgrounds now for Stafford.
We're on the north edge of town.
But it's hard to make sports teams when there's not that many students.
But there are many small towns in Kansas with the same population base or similar population base, so the schools are similar in size. So we're not the smallest in the districting, but we're the second smallest.
Okay.
So yes, we have our student athletes play every sport, and sometimes it's just because they need another 2 or 3 more bodies on the field, not because they love football or love basketball, but they just are asked to play.
To keep the town and the programs alive.
Yep. And it's, I can't necessarily explain it, but right now I think it's our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes are over 20 kids in each class.
Oh.
So our athletic teams are looking good for the future. In fact, our junior high girls won the district volleyball championship and the district basketball championship this past season.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
So we're looking forward to having some good girls teams. And it was only 3 years ago, our boys teams had 7 senior boys who had played every sport together from junior football to junior basketball to junior high, and our football team won our district, went 8-1 on the season, and actually competed in the sub-state tournament. That same year, the basketball team did the same thing with those seven seniors. Now those guys are all gone. We haven't won that many games the last couple of years.
The houses here in Stafford are quite fascinating because you have houses that more or less look abandoned. I'm guessing that quite a few of them are, and then you have houses that are well cared for, and folks are living in them still to this day.
Yes, we can. That's a long and drawn out story, basically. We have 47% of our families live below the poverty level. You look at this house on the corner right here. There hasn't been anybody lived in that house for probably 30 years. It's full of storage items. The gentleman who owned it and several other properties here passed away a couple of years ago. And now all of his properties are in probate and nothing can be done about him. He has children who he had no relationship with who are now involved, and they keep saying they're going to empty him. They're going to either renovate him or have him torn down. That's a long process. We've had other properties around town that had owners from years and years ago. They moved away, possibly heirs to that property, that 5 or 6 children had pieces of it and they're impossible to get a hold of. They pay the city to mow, and now we've imposed new ordinances to get people to take responsibility for their old properties. And if they're too far beyond renovation, we ask that they be torn down. Many now are giving that house to the city tears it down, and we have a few lots around town that are available to build on.
And we just passed the schools.
We'll just go right.
Very nice track and football field.
They've put in new track, new scoreboard. Keeps our high school athletics relevant, if you will, and our schools seem to thrive pretty well.
Now, this little town has a 1-screen movie theater, and it is very eclectic. I love it.
Yes, and the old marquee from whenever that theater was built, probably in the mid-40s, was rusted out. It was dilapidated. The neon was broken and not usable. We'll drive by that here in just moments.
Now, the brick streets, that is something very unique to this part of the world. And I guess they're actually, from what I've heard, kind of easy to maintain because you just replace bricks if they get damaged.
And the bricks have lasted for years and years and years. The only problem with these bricks is the infrastructure, the sewer, the drainages, the electrical,
Fiber optic
that sits underneath it. If you have a repair that needs to be done, they have to take it out and put concrete back in. But this is all part of prior to World War II, when the country put all the men back to work. I'm at a loss for the
Oh, the New Deal.
New Deal. Great,
Yeah.
the Great New Deal. This all happened during that era. But I want to get a good shot of the marquee. I'm gonna turn around.
Okay.
Yeah, that marquee was replaced. Now it's all digital lighting, can change colors. The front of the building was repainted, and we have volunteers that open it and sell concessions and pay a very minimal wage, if you will.
Well, it's very affordable to go see a movie there.
Absolutely.
Last summer, we went to go see the newest Twisters,
Yeah.
which was and wasn't a good idea with my wife's fear of tornadoes and storms. But we got lucky. That was a coffee shop, an ice cream place that didn't quite make it.
Didn't quite make it. This is our city office right here.
And the library is, I was very impressed the other night with how beautiful and just historic. Like, you are really in a time capsule in this part of the world, and it's Americana at its finest.
Yeah, it's a beautiful old building that was basically totally renovated. That door, huge door, had settled and could no longer be used for years. You had to use the side entrance to even go in it. But through grants, through donations, through a lot of hard work, the foundation has been fixed and repaired. The steps have been fixed and repaired. That whole front entrance is now usable once again.
I'd like to come by in the evening and look at that stained glass when the sun is setting. And I imagine it really lights up the room.
Yes, it does. And that's the Larrabee family was a well-to-do family here back in the day, and their daughter died very young, and they built that building and dedicated it to her. And now it's preserved and it's on the historic Kansas historical site.
One thing I will say Stafford has going for it right now is there are more churches than bars. And that is a unit of measure we use in small Alaskan towns. But a lot of times there's more bars than churches.
Right now, we don't have even one bar or tavern or pub and grub, whatever you would want to call it.
Does the VFW?
The VFW does not. You have to bring your own libations.
Oh, okay.
Now this house is another house that is full of stuff. And you can, now they've repaired the roof, but there's nobody living here. Hasn't been in my time here, which is now 12 or 13 years.
It's brick, so it's built to last.
But if you look at the garage,
I see that.
It's settled. The other side is settled. It's
So, yeah.
they put They put a new roof and new gutters on it. So I don't know whether that means they're gonna fix it or what.
Now, real estate, Beck and I are always looking at stuff, but you can get some of these little homes, and I'm gonna start it at what I would call habitable homes.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are as low as $50,000 to $70,000 for like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and there are some more, how should I say, just a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer homes throughout Stafford, and you'll get up into the 100s. But it's a very affordable place to live and raise a family. You're mentioning the cost of living. I'm going to take a guess. Stafford is sitting pretty good on cost of living, but then wages are also reflective of that.
Yes, that's true also, and our taxes are pretty high as far as property taxes. you might be able to get a home fairly reasonably. I'm going to take you by a house
Okay.
that I can tell you a little bit of a story about.
I enjoy house hunting.
This house on the end here, it was 4 years ago. There was a drug bust here. And I won't mention any names, but our police chief at the time had told me that it was probably the second or third worst house he's ever been in. Dogs in the house that had never been let out. Small children in the house that had, I mean, he said one, there was a little princess dress on the floor that had dog crap all over it. Anyway, that house was condemned. But somehow the owner put it back up, got it on the market, and a gentleman from Colorado, a handyman, if you will, moved here, lived in he had a conversion van, a nice little van, and he lived in his van, and he cleaned it, and he put, I'm not sure what I think he paid less than right at $20,000 for the property and the house. And he slowly redid everything, all new windows, inside, gutted. And now that house, I believe he's asking $70,000 for it. Two-bedroom house.
Okay.
But it's fixed, clean, obviously cleaned and fixed.
Yeah.
In really nice shape now.
You touched a little bit on this about a drug bust. So what's the lowdown on the drug situation 2025 Stafford, Kansas?
Well, we have what I'm going to say is a very good police force right now, but they are constantly watching and investigating and arresting would-be drug dealers. And I hate to say it, but the poverty level brings out the ne'er-do-wells, or so it seems. And I think for years here there was little to no policing. So now we have a very watchful and very diligent police force. They get frustrated because they'll make an arrest and they go to court, and the judge will be very lenient, slap them on the wrist and send them out again. And gets frustrating.
That revolving door doesn't work too well.
No.
And the city now owns these?
Not all of them. A lot of them are owned by the people that have had them for years. But the city does own several of them. So if somebody wanted to come here and said, I want to build a house, which is happening right now with a lady who used to live here, used to work here, moved away, her husband just passed, and she's looking for a lot to come back to Stafford and build a house and live here in her retirement.
Well, Beck and I have explored the idea of a little something here in Stafford, because since we've shipped to Europe and we've been using Steve's shops as storage for the Forerunner and travel trailer, we're here quite often. And it's like, well, what could we do here? Now, these are some old historic houses.
Yep.
Uncle Claire owned, I think, a handful of these and ran them as bed and breakfast for a while. And very, very beautiful inside, historic, but I'm going to take a guess, like that movie Money Pit with Tom Hanks, in terms of the maintenance and upkeep. And hunting, well, we have Jim Call's operation here. Hunting is a big tourism draw for Stafford County as well.
And this particular house, he is remodeled.
Yeah, I can see the new windows.
He uses that for his hunting lodge, or one of his lodges, that during bird season or deer season, that'll not necessarily fill up, but there'll be somebody there all the time. And this house is fairly well renovated. These were all in the same era. The one we just passed back there on the other side. But you can even see around the front porch, there's still much work that needs to be done to really get that one up to snuff.
A lot of wood rot, but it's ADA compliant with the ramp.
Yep. Now this one on this side, that hasn't been touched in years, and I believe that's one that Claire used to own.
Yeah, I've been in that one before.
And somebody put up scaffolding like they were going to start something, and it hasn't been touched in now 12 or 14 years.
So where do you see the future of the city of Stafford going?
Well, we have to keep our school, we have to keep our hospital, which we talked a little bit earlier and we never really got to it, but the hospital is the largest employer in the county, actually. Well, other than possibly the Kansas Co-op, but it's in other counties also. But our hospital is an award-winning little hospital. It's a great place to get triage, to get nursing care. You can do imaging there, you can do blood tests, you can do whatever now. No surgeries, no major medical stuff. But it's a great place, and it keeps our town going. Many nurses and nurse practitioners there. Now this used to be Mid-States Metal and Fabricating. At one time in the 70s and 80s, they built oil well equipment and shipped it all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Like big trailers, big pieces of machinery.
Now here's some new construction.
We have some new construction here. This is with the help of the state of Kansas. These are Eco-Devo, Economic Development Homes.
Like a HUD house, kind of?
Similar, but they will be built as low income. They'll be for sale, or they will be rented if they can't be sold. Now at today's prices of the cost of building, may be hard to sell them because they'll be over $100,000 houses, small 2-bedroom houses, open floor plan,
5-star energy efficient, probably.
Yeah, they're going to be nice little houses. That's house number 5 and house number 6 that have been built or are being built here in Stafford with the assistance of government funding and our local economic development and the city of Stafford. We all partner together to have those built. Now we're heading west, and we just left the city limits.
Yeah, so we're on Old Highway 50.
Highway 50.
This is the historic one. And when was the new modern Highway 50 finished in this area?
I believe in the mid-80s. It's when Highway 50, which is 1/2 mile to the south of us. Right now we are paralleling the new Highway 50. Once again, You're not very far out of the town.
No.
Wheat.
As far as the eye can see sometimes. Now, there's several ways farmers can retire, correct?
Yes. They'll keep their land, the land that they own, and they will have an active farmer farm that ground for them. Lease the ground to them, and they will take a portion of the harvest.
And then a lot of times, a farmer will sell their equipment?
I know a good friend of mine whose father passed, and they had an auction and sold off all the farm equipment. And it took a couple of years for he and his sisters to settle up on all the different pieces of property, and there were 3 houses involved, and it took quite a while for them to get all that settled. But now they are retired, and I think they still two sisters and my friend all kept pieces of ground. Same thing, they're leasing to a Steve Moore or a Matt Hildebrand or somebody like that.
And then the farmer becomes a paid driver a lot of times. Just not the person crawling on the ground, working and turning wrenches and paying for fuel, but just come harvest, it's all hands on deck and driving a combine or a buggy or the tractor trailer.
Obviously, you've been by the airport before.
Never turned into the airport. Yeah, this is the first.
We have grass runways. That one is almost exactly half a mile long, that runs exactly north and south. You have power lines on that end of the runway and power lines just to the edge of that one. So it's a little tricky.
Yeah. It's not the longest.
We have 2 more strips that go a little bit diagonally depending on the wind direction.
An Alaskan and a Super Cub wouldn't have a problem, though.
No, not at all. And in fact, my father-in-law, who's now passed, was an avid aviator. Actually went to Alaska to be a bush pilot. They lived in Alaska for 5 or 6 years, and he flew his Piper Pacer with big wings on it, so he could land it on short runways. And we had again, this was a storage unit. The city owns this property, but individuals own the buildings. And a little over a year ago, we had some severe wind. It wasn't a tornado, but it was severe wind, and did a ton of damage on that building and this little hangar where they're cleaning up that lot. That's the city of Stafford. There was another building just like those 3 right there that was badly damaged.
Okay, they're ripping up the foundation, and
they've hauled off material from it and have now taken out the footings, and now they've hauled a little topsoil back in, and they're leveling that, and it'll become grass. We have an owner of this building who has been impossible to contact, and it's going to be his responsibility for the cost of tearing that down. And he said he was going to have somebody do it. It hasn't happened. So now the people who do have airplanes here, which right now there's only 2, they worry because when that blew down, all the scrap went out onto the runways.
Oh, all the nails
and screws.
And that can kill you.
It's not good. And he went out here, he showed me, he had an old tin wash tub that probably had 40 pounds of, he came out with a magnet and drug the runways and the edges and picked up almost 40 pounds of
From that
screws,
one
nails
storm.
From one big storm.
Oh, wow, that would render this nothing more than an emergency.
Yeah, but he's, again, it's the city owns it. They own the hangars.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that are out here take a lot of responsibility once again, because obviously the city has limited funds and limited manpower to what they can do. So the city keeps this mowed so it's ready for landing and takeoffs. But now I believe these lights don't work anymore.
Oh, they can't be triggered by the radios?
I don't think so. I think they've been in such disrepair that a few of them might still work, so we don't get a lot of air traffic here, just for that.
Yeah.
For that reason. I mean, I think before you got to the breakfast table this morning, there was talk that, boy, if the hospital ever closes, or if the school closes and they consolidate with another school district, our little town, there's not going to be much left here.
Now, a lot of towns around the nation are experiencing little booms with the growth of remote work, especially after the pandemic and especially after Starlink satellite high-speed internet. It gives people the option of literally, Rebecca and I are a perfect example, we can live wherever we want, or I shouldn't say, we can be wherever we want to be if we have internet and can work, because we're completely remote. But have you seen any of that happening in Stafford,
Well,
of families moving in?
It's only been the last 2 years that they started stringing the high-speed internet lines here. So with the cost of housing, with we're a little bit remote in that you're 35 to 40 minutes any direction to get to more shopping, to bigger shopping, to restaurants, to Walmart, exactly. So we're attractive in some realms, but yes, the remote living could and can help us. Now we tend to be a jumping off spot for teachers. They'll come here right out of school, get a couple of years under their belt, and then move to a bigger venue. So it's difficult to get those people to, especially young families, to come and to stay and to be a part of our city.
It opens up a whole new realm of possibilities when somebody could be working for a company, we'll say in Dallas, Fort Worth area, making big city money. And big city money is completely different than small town Kansas money.
Absolutely.
So there is the possibility of somebody coming here and getting a very, very nice house in the realm of, $300,000 would get you something amazing, wouldn't it?
Yes, this was the old veterinary clinic.
Oh. Nice fenced yard.
This had 3 different loading chutes out back. Cattle, horses, whatever could come through that building, in and out, and a labyrinth of pens and corrals and gates, whatever. This, right out in front of this, was offices.
Mm-hmm.
And they all caved in, and so that part of it's torn down, but the shop itself was in good shape. So,
and here veterinary is small and large. I don't know.
it's
veterinary.
It's everything. There was a house here that was beyond repair. It was torn down. Right here that had a house that was beyond repair. The volunteer fire department, which we are so lucky to have, and they are excellent firefighters, use that as a training house. They didn't burn it, but they put smoke barrels in it and practice going in and out of a facility in the dark with their cameras, with their life-saving apparatus to get exercise there.
Speaking of which, volunteer fire department.
Volunteer fire department. You met Paul, who is the fire chief, so if he gets a call, he leaves the elevator. He'll leave one of his guys there to run whatever's going on at the elevator, and volunteer fire department will come and take care of business.
And the new community swimming pool,
which used to be the site of the high school. The old high school had a room on the second or third floor that had no windows. It was like an auditorium kind of room, and some kids burnt the building to the ground. That was 10 years ago. And that building behind there is now our recreation center, but that was built as the high school annex. It had a wrestling room, it had a band room, a small gymnasium, not game worthy, but practice worthy. And now it's been converted into a recreation center. We have weights and exercise rooms. We have a craft room. The gymnasium is still there for kids' practices. We've put in, just in the past 3 or 4 years, a sand volleyball pit that the kids use all the time. And we have a few events here and have some small town tournament kind of things.
Is the annex open to the community for wanting to go to the gym
It
at
is
8 in the morning type of scenario?
You have to have a membership, but yes, it has an electric key doors.
Oh.
And in the whole scheme of things, something that nice in a big city would be $300 or $400 a month.
I could imagine.
For a family. For here, you can be a member of this and use the facility for just right at $100 for a membership.
Wow.
Not per month. That's like for a year.
Yeah.
And it's a very nice facility. But
And you
there
can
again,
come in on your own hours and exercise.
Yep. And obviously we got kids soccer set up right now. It's kids soccer season. Little picnic area that is part of the rec center, so you can rent that if you wanted to have a little family event and a picnic. You could, for a very minimal cost. Here's a church that is now privately owned and not open anymore. This guy is just taking down his trees.
Cleaning up the yard.
Yeah, sure is.
A lot of these places could use some cleanup, that's for sure.
Yeah, yep.
I still like the architecture of the old farmhouses. I admire the desire and passion to keep your home alive.
Yeah.
And in the modern world, it's more and more difficult. Wow, that is a very nice lawn.
Yeah.
That's
These two guys right here, and it's like they have a little contest going who can keep their lawn the greenest and the prettiest. And
Yeah, they're doing a great
so
job.
so on and so forth. This is another one of our Eco Devo houses that's new, hasn't even obviously gotten the landscaping in, but it's a nice little property, and we have a young family moved into town and they're living there now. It's a 2-bedroom, wide open kind of floor plan.
And being an economic development house, are there stipulations on income?
Yes, and I don't know exactly what those are, but
Okay.
yes, there are to rent. And to buy, I don't know whether they get a little bit of a break on an interest rate or a contract. And this is our gun club.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard anything about that. We just started a high school club that,
Rebecca.
Rebecca Austin, who was and will be again an avid trap shooter. There must have been 50 shooters out here just the other night, which is
that's half the town sometimes.
yeah. So it's young kids and moms and dads that want to get involved.
And the irony is I see some dove out there right now just hanging out.
Yeah. Robins and doves. But anyway, again, they had to put in a brand new trap mechanism, and it's all new and modern, and so we'll probably draw shooters from around the area, because there's, until you get to Wichita or Hutch, there's no place else to shoot.
Now, I didn't know this until a year or two ago, but there's a golf course in Stafford. I know if you want to call it a golf course, like in terms of not Pebble Beach or anything.
No.
But it is a golf course. Wow,
here's a little fixer-up for you that is for sale. I do not know what they're asking for it, but I'm gonna say it's in need of repair pretty
I
bad.
would say so. But if somebody's looking for a project and wants to get a quarter or a half acre in a little town, this is an option, very viable option in a community that has modern problems, but I think it's a community that still has good values.
Good value and good people. I did mention that poverty level brings in some ne'er-do-wells, but they're not the majority.
Yeah.
That is definitely a minority. And but we have 3 different properties in town in the city limits that are like this. Junk collectors, some are junk dealers, some are just junk collectors. And it's pretty hard to change that mentality to just keep putting stuff on their property and doing nothing with it.
Yeah. Humans like to collect things.
Yeah.
And especially generational. Now, you look at some of the generations that went through the Great Depression. Well, you open up cabinets and you're going to see Cool Whip containers and Country Crock containers for days when you help clean out their house.
Yep.
But it's just a generational thing.
Now, this is one of my favorite houses in town right here. This is well kept and a beautiful old house. I've never been inside it, but
yeah, we've admired this house for a long time, just how well kept it is.
Leaded glass windows by the door, and that's just a beautiful property. Okay, well, I need to go to the high school.
Got some work.
Well, I just have to go pee in a cup, so I can.
Well, that's work related for driving kids on school buses.
It is, yes. Yep. And there's not many of us that are required. I think there's 4 bus drivers that have to do drug tests for DOT. Now, this is my, I believe, my 4th time in a row to get tested, but that's all right.
The brand new flags.
Yes.
And there's a little campground right here too, which I think could really help. Yeah, in Europe they have these free camping airs where you camp there, and for 1 or 3 nights usually is the max, and you give the town business, whether it's a haircut, grocery shopping, or gas at the gas station. They just want to bring people in, and I think that's a very nice campground. If you're driving stretches of the Forgotten Highway and you want a safe place to park, that one's it. So we're coming full circle for today's trip back to Joanne's Cafe. And Don, I can't thank you enough for arranging the tour of the grain elevator and showing us around town. Thank you very much.
Well, you're very welcome. And just know that I love our little town. And I'm proud of it for the most part. There's always one or two places that I'm not necessarily, but for the most part, we've got great people, great families, great history. If you ever want to just go to the senior center in the morning from 9 to 11, there's some old timers that sit there and have coffee. And if you start asking the right questions, you will get a history lesson there.
It's elders
amazing.
are a wealth of knowledge.
It's
that should be
amazing.
appreciated.
There's sometimes the question has to go around the table, maybe twice, but somebody will remember a name, a business, a heritage, something in that lineage, and oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, well that was so and so, and they had 3 kids that had 4 kids that and it can be very interesting. But anyway,
all right.
Thank
you very much for
Absolutely.
the time, and maybe we'll get together again, and there's probably an underbelly of Stafford that we could explore too.
It's a possibility. If nothing else, we'll go meet some teachers at the high school and something like that.
And talk to some elders.
Yeah,
Those are some great stories.
Yep, actually, that would be another time. If you're going to be around, we'll get together. Okay.
Thank you very much for joining us on this tour. Thank Don and the wonderful city of Stafford, Kansas. Thanks for watching.
Go Trojans.